Yeah, it wasn't the end. I never thought it was the end. I mean, I've faced doomsday many, many times and never really acknowledged it. Like failure for me is just another step in the process, right? Like
Hmm.
it's not failure is only failure when it's over, right? Like either you win or you learn.
Hmm.
There's no true losses. So for me, I didn't look at it like, oh, it's done. It was more so, okay, well, let me figure this new credit out. So I was running out of money. I ended up starting this like adult family home in one of my units, so I wasn't getting some of that income. So that was one fourth of the rent that I was going to be living off of was now out of my pocket. So because of that, I was trying to get that started. You know, it just left me in a position where I needed to get a job. So started having conversations with these groups, and took about 8 months for me to even get that job, honestly. But when it came, it was really beneficial to me because it allowed, and I was very intentional about what job I would take. I wasn't going to take anything. This was a commercial lending job where I was doing small business lending to people of color, to minority, women, and veteran owned companies in the state of Wisconsin. So for me, it's like, okay, this is aligned with my mission. And I was working from home. And it was the most money I'd ever made. I think at that time it was, in the mid, anywhere from 45 to 60, like 50 to 60,000 or so, which to me in Milwaukee, that's upper middle class, frankly.
Hmm.
So I'm like, okay, well, I can do this. And I, I was learning at that job. So I never really worked for a development company. I've never worked for a financial institution in that way. So this was good because I was sitting in on lending committees. I was putting together the packets,
Hmm.
to review and pitch it to lending committees. I was getting all the models and reviewing them and putting it into our models and starting to really understand the psyche of the people on the other side of credit. So
Hmm.
now intimately involved with 5 Cs of credit, know what they're looking for. So all of my deals moving forward now, I've already been a lender before. I know what it looks like to underwrite a deal from their perspective and what risks they're looking for on both the business side as well as the real estate side. So that was the key for both of those companies. One was a little bit more focused on kind of real estate and nonprofit type of lending, and the other one was just straight SBA small business lending. And it really, really gave me exposure because we had biweekly meetings. I had a lending committee week meeting every week, depending on which company I was, working for. So the 10 plus people that were all on the lending committee on both sides. So now take 15 to 20 people. I'm able to hear their thoughts about how they're analyzing these deals over the course of a 2 year period,
Hmm.
in addition to my own internal homework while I'm trying to figure out how to do the development thing. So it was a very strategic move on my behalf to take that role in particular. So yes, I was strapped for cash, and yes, I needed the money. But if there was another role for me to take, I wouldn't have done it. It had to be aligned with what my goals were going to be.
I
That
think
was the
that's
only
huge.
reason why I did it.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I'm talking to a friend of mine who's thinking about jumping full time into it, and I'm actually gonna tell him to listen to this episode. And one of the things we always spoke about was like, what happens if you start and like you don't have money or it doesn't work out? And I just always said like, you can just go get another job. And I said, to be perfectly honest, there's probably a ton of people that would hire you part time or full time in in what you're looking to do in syndication or in asset management or something similar that
Yep.
would either allow you to get some experience you don't have or allow you to kind of float yourself for some time, and they would
Yep.
probably help you out with your own stuff, especially if you're upfront with them. If you said like, hey, like I'm looking to build this on my side, but truth be told, I've hit some snags and I just need some cash and I could use some experience and I want to help you guys, and in the meantime, and then eventually I'm going to go off on my own. There's a seat for that ass. Like,
For
people
sure.
will hire that person. We would love to have people that understand the business and have that, you know, entrepreneurial mindset or that vision of like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And especially if you're upfront and say like, hey, once I'm able to stand on my own 2 feet, I'm going to go off on my own. That's fine because you're setting expectations up front. If somebody's like, hey, no, I need somebody that's going to be here for 5, 10 years. Okay, it's just not the right seat. But I'm telling you now, there's plenty of people that could use extra help from somebody that's willing to learn and give good value and, you know, really try to gain that experience, there's a ton of people that would do that. So I think
That's
it's
exactly what I did. I
yeah,
told them.
and it's really
And
interesting to hear you basically do that, because I know it's fully possible, but to hear somebody experience and actually do it, I think is going to be like just a comfort to a lot of people, because there is that fear of, you know, if I go out and start on my own and I can't do this, or I don't have the money, or money runs out, or money gets tight, like it's not super hard unless, you know, now in COVID where unemployment's 10%, maybe it's a little bit different, but you know, there are jobs available. There are things you can do to kind of support yourself if things go wrong.
for sure. Yeah.
So for that person that is thinking about that, how easy was it for you to kind of find that job?
It wasn't easy. I'll say that. It wasn't easy at all. The job wasn't even listed. They created it for me. Through the relationships that I built from all of the things that I described,
Mhm.
that role was created specifically for me. So I think that's another gem that people can extract. It's like, you know, when you're living in your purpose and you're doing the things that you need to be doing, doors will open up even if
Yeah.
there's no current door for you. So I think that it's just a testament to, you know, living in your purpose. I
Mhm.
mean, it sounds so cliche, but for me, it's true. You know, I do the things that I am moved by, that I'm passionate by, and I'm unwilling to do anything else. Um, but I'm also willing to do all of the dirty work associated with that. So
Mhm.
that then is that balance, right? It's like if I'm here, I'm all in. But if I'm there, I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah, I
And that got me
know.
the job.
Yeah, and I got to imagine too, which I think is interesting, is being on the other side of that coin a little bit of like, if I knew there was somebody that was like an awesome person, super hardworking, and I knew would fit in well, and they were like, hey, you know, they just came to me like, hey, like I kind of need some cash, need some money, I need a job to do. It's way easier for me if I know the person first to create a job that I think will bring value, because I can then negotiate with them on a price and what
Yep.
they're going to do and what I can get from them. When you post a job or something, you're hoping you find that right person. Like you're going out and looking for the person that will fit. If you already have that person, that's incredibly valuable for that person. So back to your part about networking, going out and meeting people, I got to imagine, and I think you alluded to it basically, that you had a prior relationship with them, probably just had a conversation of like, hey, you know, I would love to come work for you guys, or I'm looking for work, or, you know, the conversation probably was very loose of like, hey, this is what I'm looking to do or what I need to do. You know, would you have any interest, or do you know that has anybody interest? And they probably looked at it and said, yeah, that would actually make a lot of sense for us
Yeah.
to come in and work.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's probably exactly how it went down for you.
That is. I had a good network in the city of Milwaukee. Both of these groups. So one of the executive director of one of the groups is on the board of the other.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them were trying to expand their footprint in the city of Milwaukee. And me being obviously a minority in the city of Milwaukee and having tremendous ties to the community, it made sense for me to be able to, you know, build their brand presence in the city, as well as look for deals that made sense to them. So that was really the value in the exchange. There weren't very many people, young, you know, people of color with this specific skill set in this particular area in which they are trying to invest in. So that's spot on. And now that I'm on the other side of it, it's like people reach out to me every single day, like literally every day, because my social profile asking for a job or internship. But because I don't have relationships with people, it's like, oh, can I come help you? It's hard for me to tell you how you can help me if I don't know what you can do, right? Like I haven't seen it. I hear you saying it, but I haven't seen it. So there's no context for me to do anything with this information. It's like, yes, this is great. And when I do create something, I'll put it out there and you can get a, you know, nice look. But I'd say that cold calling isn't necessarily the best way to get a job that isn't currently there either.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build a relationship. It has to be organic. It has to be true.